everybody? Welcome back. Purple Friday Show, episode 245. We're here after obviously probably one of the worst losses in NFL history.
Yep. Yep.
Record breaking, they mentioned the stat. I mean, everybody's been watching the shows all week. It's literally the only game they've been talking about all week. Ravens, any team with over 240 yards rushing and up by 15 points in the fourth quarter. The record was 277-0. That was until the Harbaugh's Ravens lost that game, 41-40. There's a lot of moments in the game, where you could point to where the game kind of flipped. I'll start by saying I thought that halftime, right when they were going into halftime, looking back on it now, I was like, watching the game, I was like, oh, they'll be fine. They're good. They're rolling right now. They're doing their thing. I should have known that was a bad omen right there.
Yeah.
That them on sending no rush and allowing Josh Allen to get the ball downfield in field goal range to kick the field goal to make it a one-score game when they were up by 2 scores at that point. When it's a 1-point loss like that, those points matter. Every point matters in those kind of games. And get up the field goal there, they had no timeouts. Bills had no timeouts. Keeping them inbounds was, if they make that play inbounds, the game, the half is over. They make the play inbounds, the half is over. When they said the fact that nobody was guarding the sideline, this is from your perspective about this point. You were, I don't know, you're still coaching football, but I know you did coach. These are some of the foundational things you teach your guys on situational football, right? Like, these are one of those things where it's like, in this situation, with a limited time and no timeouts, just keep them inbounds, right? Like, that's, from your perspective, watching the fourth quarter debacle where, they don't go for it on 4th and 3. We got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry trying to go for 3 yards to get a first down. Defense hadn't been stopping anybody. As a coach, Harbaugh said this is what most people would have done. This is what he said in his presser. Most people would have punted in a situation. What is your take on all that situational football that went down?
Okay, I'll talk about the halftime part because when we did our halftime from the hammock, I was nervous about that field goal because I was like, it's better to be up 10 than 7. And that made the difference in the game, those 3 points. So I think from a coaching standpoint, I think we talked about during the week on that play, we were dropping Van Noy out in coverage instead of having like another DB or another linebacker in there. I think that's awful coaching, and it's awful awareness because you guard the sidelines in those instances. You don't want them, they have no time. You don't want them getting out of bounds. You want to funnel them to the middle of the field. That's the first thing. And then when you look at the end of the game, I'll tell you this story real quick. My second year as like a JV head coach, I had 15 guys on the team. So no subs, guys are always tired. And our defense gave up a lot of points just because guys are always tired. They're scoring on us. There were so many times during that season where I did not trust my defense because I knew they were going to be too tired to tackle, guard. So the strategy is keep the ball in our hands. And I think that should have been the strategy at that point. Your defense is getting ate up. They're tired because we scored very, very quickly throughout the game. That defense was not only, they were playing poorly, but they were tired. So you have to keep the ball in your hands. You can't put the ball back in Josh Allen's hands. He had, at that point, threw for over 200 yards in the fourth quarter. But you have to keep the ball in your hands so you can be able to run out the clock. You just can't give the ball back over. And I think that should have been the thought process for Harbaugh. This is not 2004. This isn't 2007. This isn't 2012. The game is different. Offenses are high-powered. They can move the ball quickly. The rules allow them to be able to move the ball up and down the field quickly. You can't just punt it back anymore. You need to hold on to the ball. And unfortunately, Harbaugh is just too stuck in the past. The strategy that we have a lot of times on the Ravens, outside of the offense, is too stuck in the past. And you're seeing it come back to bite them.
No, yeah. I mean, we've seen it'd be one thing if this was a once in a time thing, and we'll get this fixed, we'll get this fixed. But I mean, even when you look at the games last year, like I was just thinking about like going when they were showing the list of all the different games that the Ravens are ahead in the fourth quarter. Not even really against good teams, against teams like the Jags, the Titans, the Colts. The teams they should be beating. Right? They're against. It would be one thing if it was all against the Eagles, all against the Chiefs, all of whatever. But these are against teams where the Ravens should be beating them by 20 points, 15, 20, by at least 2 scores. And I go back to that. I think it was the last Bengals game last season where we won the football game, but when it went to overtime, Lamar and the Ravens fumbled the football. The Bengals got it back, but then they missed the field goal and allowed us to be able to go down the field and kick the field goal to win the football game. So we got lucky in that Bengals game. And then the first game, Lamar does his magician stuff, and he stiff arm Sam Hubbard or whatever, and then throws in the back of the end zone Isaiah Likely, and it just went score for score in that game. And I just, even last year, like, that's not sustainable, right? At some point, your defense has to get a stop. Somebody had to stop somebody. But this, like we said, the situational football, like even when they punted the football and Trenton Simpson slides into touches the white line, the back of the end zone. And, I didn't even know that was the rule, until I think the referee at large or whatever commented is like, yeah, if you touch the ball, even if you're touching the ball, if you touch the ball and you slide towards the back of the end zone, that still counts as a touchback. And I was like, and then even guys that or special teams have all said, you don't leave your feet on that play. You run and you like tap the ball down or you knock it back, but you don't leave your feet and slide or have any part of your body touch that white line because it's going to come touchback. Like giving them 20 yards on that play versus them having stopped at the 1-inch line was monumental. It was monumental for that defense. Like you said, even on that halftime play, having Kaba Inoue in that spot was just atrocious. Because I remember I watched the All-22. Once Josh Allen, after a few seconds, Kaba Inoue and the other linebackers start cheating up. Why are you cheating up? For what? Everybody's behind you. Like, why are you cheating up in that moment? And that provided that open space for the crosser to come right over because the cornerback did not have good inside position, couldn't stop the wrap at that point. And so Kaba Inoue cheats up, leaving that space right there for Josh Allen, just put it there, gets out of bounds, gets that 1 extra second on the clock and kicks the field goal. Like those simple, that stuff right there. Now I kind of wanted to talk about to the fourth quarter as well. We saw the entire game. It felt like from the first quarter to the third quarter, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson were unstoppable. The pass that Lamar Jackson makes to D-Hop and the play that D-Hop makes, like that both the pass in general, because Lamar throws it over the top, but also gets it right there before the safety gets there. And then D-Hop just snags the ball out of the air with one hand. Like old D-Hop catches the touchdown. The play to Zay Flowers. I love that play, that screenplay they did, where so like Stanley and Voorhees get out and get upfield and make the blocks, and just Zay goes right down the sideline for a touchdown. Zay running wide open, 140-something yards receiving. He's going off. And it felt like Derrick Henry, every time he touched the football, was a 20-plus yard run. Like every time he touched the football. They could not – when they ran to that left side, they were saying with Linderbaum, Voorhees, and Stanley running to that left side, no, they couldn't be stopped. They could not be stopped. And we saw on that last drive when they ran that little reverse, that end around to Zay Flowers to the worst side of the line. They ran it to Falele and Rosengarten's side, and it got blown up. That got blown up. Then they showed the play, I think, where Derrick Henry fumbled, and Rosengarten missed his block and let the guy get in, let Oliver get inside and punch the ball out. So I think Trey said this last week that he still had concerns about this O-line and how young they were. And I will say Voorhees, while played well, had his moments during the game. Falele for sure had his moments during the game. We talked about it off before the show started about that play where I think Lamar takes a 20-yard loss on the play. Was that the play Lamar ended up getting 15 yards or 20 yards? Or I think
he let his guy pause inside, and then Lamar was just backing up, and then he just made a play out of nothing.
Yeah.
And I think I don't remember who it was, but I think it was Voorhees and Linderbaum were just lighting people up just to get Lamar those yards.
Yeah. And so it's looking back on that, just with the fourth quarter debacle and how they did, like they stopped running their offense. Like everything that they were doing, even in the passing game, was working. Everything they were doing in the running game was working. Except that one Justice Hill play where he lost like 15 yards, and that play was atrocious. But everything they were doing for the most part in the run game was working, and they go away from it. And we've seen now time and time again in these games where it feels like, this is no longer just a coordinator thing. This happened under Greg Roman. This happened with Cam Cameron. You can go all the way back. As long as Harbaugh has been here, this has been like the mantra for the Ravens is that, okay, we are now up. We can just let our defense go win the game for us. That would have worked prior 2012. That made sense prior 2012 because of who you had on defense. And some commentators have said this week, it feels like Harbaugh is coaching a team that doesn't exist anymore. And he's not realizing, and some other people on like ESPN and some other shows said, even as Ravens fans, we are so used to the defense being the headliner for the team. The defense usually comes out of the tunnel. Many other teams, when they would come out of the tunnel for the game, would be their offense. It wasn't for us. It was our defense. That was the premier talent on our team. It's not that way anymore. All the best players, for the most part, for the Ravens are on offense. And he's like, the Ravens have to start operating in that mindset and realizing your offense is going to have to also be your best defense too. And they were talking about how while the Ravens were scoring a lot of points, it did feel like they were scoring too fast. And your defense didn't have enough time to sit down on the bench, get some water, and get back on the field. It felt like you were putting your defense in a bind. Yeah, you're scoring touchdowns. I think they scored that one touchdown on the Derrick Henry touchdown. One of them was like 3 plays. Those legit 3 plays, and they scored a touchdown. And they were talking about how the Ravens have to get better at complementary football. Yes, it's great to score, in 2-3 plays, but you look at, hey, our defense isn't getting any pressure. They're not blitzing. They're not rushing. They're not getting any pressure on Josh Allen. The best thing we can do as an offense is try to run some clock and keep Josh Allen off the field. That's the best thing we could do, or put him in situations where we know he has to be one-dimensional, And it definitely feels that way where it's like, while it was great for fantasy numbers and stuff, watching the football game, it makes sense. So sometimes as an offensive coach, as a head coach, you have to sacrifice some of those chunk plays because you're more worried about, at this point, we got to take more time off this clock. We want to give them the ball back. We don't want to make sure he has enough time to get down the field. And that's situational football, which I have said for years now, that Harbaugh is, while he may be a good motivator off the field and, a good coach during, Monday through Friday and Saturday or whatever, but Sunday, as far as a game day coach, I feel like he's one of the worst. He's just not. And like everybody said, like we've seen it for years now where it feels like the coordinators have too much autonomy to make calls. At some point, the head coach has to step in. I don't care if you don't know scheme. Are you watching the game? Like, are you watching the game? Like, it was clear, I think, to all of us, we were in the chat in the fourth quarter, these guys are gassed. Like, they have nothing left. They were getting burned left and right. Jair Alexander was out on skates. Like, but he should have had limited snaps for the simple fact he hasn't even practiced the whole entire month of August. And they had him out there for most of the game. So it was just, like you said, all around, not knowing your personnel well, scheme being terrible. And like I said, even some of the commentators were amazed, like, why didn't the Ravens blitz? I think they blitzed like one time on that James Cook play where he turned it up for 50 yards down the field, where if Roquan Smith just makes the tackle, that's only a 5-yard play, and he missed the tackle there. It's a lot of guys playing out of position. And I will say this, for the first time in a while, this would usually be blamed on Lamar. Like nationally, they've always usually blamed, Lamar should have, been more aggressive and you should have, stayed on the field and called it. But a lot of people, it sounds like now, and they had that stat I don't know why everybody had that stat ready on Monday morning about Harbaugh being, I think, since 1991 as the most most losses with a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. That says something. And then somebody brought the point too. In a Super Bowl, if it wasn't for Ray and Ed, they had a double point lead in that game too in the Super Bowl, and almost lost that.
I remember. Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even because we won the game. I completely forgot about it. Like, we almost lost that game.
Not for Jimmy Smith.
So yeah, I think people forget. Harbaugh was on the hot seat in 2018. They were not going to make the playoffs if he didn't start Lamar, and it does feel like, I don't know. It just, with the stuff, we'll talk about it. I think this is the next segue. The maturity comments from Marlin and Harbaugh the other day come off as a little interesting for me, especially because it's not an overly young defense. It's a good mix, age-wise. But the maturity part, which I really didn't understand, and maybe you understand coach speak that I do. Like, when you have Marlon saying maturity and then you have Harbaugh talking maturity, like, what does that sound like to you?
To me, it sounds like a lack of awareness or preparation. Like, guys not watching film. It could be a variety of things. It could be guys making selfish plays and being out of position. Not on the same page in the huddle, not communicating. A lot of those go together when it comes to maturity. I mean, and for Marlon to say it, because, off the field, he's probably what we would consider one of the most immature people. But, on the field, he's about his business. So I think you have a good amount of new guys on that defense in different roles than they play. You got Malachi Starks, you got Jair Alexander, Woolsey, thinking Mike Green. You got Buchanan was out there getting snaps. So I get some miscommunication, but this sounds like it's a little bit deeper. I read that the defense, they had a dinner together Monday night where they were talking through things. And I don't know if this comment came after that or not, but it says a lot that we're having these concerns. We're having a players only dinner this early in the season. I definitely get the urgency. I definitely get the after a game like that, but it does make me a lot more concerned about what's going on behind the scenes with this defense. So, it's something that's going to have to get nipped in the bud, and we need leaders to step up. Who's the leader of this Ravens defense? We know the leader of the team, Lamar, and Lamar holds his offense accountable, but who's going to hold this defense accountable? It hasn't been Roquan. When he got traded for, we were crowning him new Ray Lewis, but he hasn't proven to be that leader on the defense. So I don't know. Somebody's going to step up. If it's Marlon, let it be Marlon. But somebody has to step up and lead this defense. And we see it right now for these comments that come from two places within the team, that there's definitely some concern and there's definitely a leadership issue.
Another thing too, it did feel like at the end of the game, with him taking Lamar off the field, Lamar said he was cramping. And some other players, not other players, but other commentators, made a comment saying, like, I get it. It's week one. He hasn't, played any preseason games. A lot of guys start cramping in week one, trying to get their body. They're running full speed when they haven't been running full speed for months. And he's like, I get it. It happens. He's like, but in that situation, 4th and 3, your defense can't stop anybody, but you have a chance to win the football game. Like, it's under 2 minutes. You have a chance to go win the football game here. Even if they have all 3 timeouts, they'll have enough timeouts to stop the game from ending. And he's like, what they needed to do was, when the Bills called a timeout there on 3rd and 3 at that point, calls timeout, and have Lamar, if he is cramping, go to the line of scrimmage, run the clock down, do some audibles and stuff like that. Then you call a timeout. Get him some Gatorade or something, hit the massage gun, like, do what you got to do to give him whatever time he needs to get the cramps out. But they're like, you cannot give up your opportunity to win football games there. You're playing MVP. You're playing away. You're playing week one in Buffalo. scene of the crime, not even a few months ago in January. Go win the football game. Like, I think a lot of us would have been fine if the Ravens lost, right? If we don't get the 4th and 3, they turn it over. It's like, hey, we're going to lose anyway. A lot of us, I think, felt that if we give the ball back at any point in the fourth quarter, we're going to lose this football game, because we saw Josh Allen just doing whatever he wanted to do back there. And at least I trust Lamar and Henry, or even Zay at that point, to get me a first down. Even D-Hop, yeah. He can get me a 3-yard route, and catch the football and get a first down. Mark Andrews, whatever. I can trust that offense to get me 3 yards in that moment when they've been doing it all game, and taking it out of their hands. And it did feel like he wanted Zach Orr to win the game. It felt like he did. It felt like he wanted Zach Orr to get the credit for, they didn't have a great game defensively, but to go win the football game. And I was just telling another friend of mine, I was like, it feels like John Harbaugh is coaching like Notre Dame football in the 60s. Like, it's like everybody's an All-American, we're about, respectability on the field, and we're going to, trying to build men here. Like, these are already grown men. This isn't college football. You're not trying to build these guys through adversity and stuff. This is pro football. These guys get paid. Pro
football. Yep.
I don't care about your feelings. If I would come on, like Dion, I think, talked about Colorado's defense yesterday right after the first quarter, and he was like, "We're hot garbage." He said it on camera, "We're hot garbage." I don't care about your feelings. If you're playing like that, then you're playing like trash. Then you're playing like trash. And the defense, like you said, having dinner after the game like that, they knew they didn't play well. They knew they didn't.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to, if it felt like he was trying to, let's go let Zach Orr win it. No, I'm like, Lamar is our best player. He's the MVP. Because you look during that game, how many times did the Bills go for 2-point conversions? Like 3 times?
3 times.
They got none of them. Yeah. They got none of them. But you know what they did? They went for it with Josh Allen all 3 times. Sean McDermott trusts his best player, Josh Allen. He's like, if we don't get it, we don't get it. But I'm going to give him a chance to go get it every time. Like, they went for it 3 times and didn't convert not one of them.
Right.
But he went for it 3 times with Josh Allen because that's our best player. I'm going to let him go get it instead of just kicking this field goal. And yeah, it definitely does. It does, I think, go back to, Zach Orr is Harbaugh's guy. He picked him to be defensive coordinator. And Harbaugh, I think, is desperate to try to prove to everyone that he is good at creating his own coaching tree and all this other stuff. Rex Ryan was on Get Up the other day talking about, basically saying, he's like, I'm not there. Wink's not there. It's very clear that the attitude in this defense isn't the same. He's like, because we wouldn't have put up with it. Rex Ryan, I know Rex Ryan and Wink Martindale have been yelling at people on that side. Yeah. I know they would have been yelling, getting the dudes' faces. I know they would have been yelling at guys on the sideline. We know Ray and Ed and them, Suggs and them, would have been getting in people's faces for playing like that. They would have nipped that in the bud in the first quarter. Like, nah, man. After that first drive, after that Bills' first drive, nah, man. That ain't that ain't acceptable. We gotta stop this. So yeah, you're right. I think it's I think they showed one of the players on all 22, or Malachi Starks is making calls. I'm like, he's a rookie. He should be making calls to no one at this point.
Right.
Like, even if he saw what's right, he's a rookie. There needs to be some hierarchy here. Like, he shouldn't be making calls to anything, doing it. No. The only people that should be talking at this point should be Kyle, and maybe I'll say Marlon at this point. I don't know about Roquan. But Kyle and Marlon should be the only ones making any calls at this point. Kyle was all over the field. You saw Kyle almost blocked that field goal.
Yeah,
the ball was like right here.
He was our best playmaker.
He was single-handedly getting stops.
Yeah, between special teams and defense.
By himself. And I think that's where the issue lies with me, is saying now we're going into this Browns game. And the line is like 11.5 points. And I don't like that at all. I'm like, the Browns always play us tough, home or away. I'm a little scared about what Myles Garrett may do to this offensive line, especially he plays on the right side of Rosengarten. That's going to be, I don't know what they're going to do with that. And then they come in talking trash. Grant Delpit and Jerry Jeudy already talking smack. saying that they're not scared of the Ravens defense, and Delpit's like, I'm going to hit Derrick Henry and all this other stuff. Like, you have teams coming into Baltimore now, not afraid, not fearful of the Ravens defense anymore. They're like, yeah, whatever. I'm not afraid of them. They don't have that fear factor they used to. And you could tell, I'm like, it's infuriating when I watched that Commanders-Packers game last night, watching the Packers defense like all over the field, attacking the football, like going after the quarterback, swarming,
aggressive,
like
swagger, all of it.
And it just feels like this defense is just kind of still going through the motions. So before we, get into, what's been going on with the defense as a whole, I'll ask your question. How much longer do you think the Ravens stick with Zach? Now that he's in his second year, Dean Pease is no longer there. Do you think the Ravens are like, if we have to bring in somebody else to consult and to call plays for you, how long does that stick around?
Yeah. I think Zach Orr cooled his seat off all the way by the way that defense played the second half of last year. But the disappointment that was this first game got to be warming that seat up some. Now, since Harbaugh's making the call, I don't think that seat is hot or even warm. But I think, if the defense plays this way throughout the year, that pressure from DaCosta and Bisciotti is going to creep up to Harbaugh. Like, look, your mans ain't getting it done. If we have more performances like this one, where it's just asinine scheme, asinine play calling, putting Kyle Van Noy playing outside in the boundary. I don't. There's going to be pressure to get rid of him. Now, I want Zach Orr to do well. Like, I'm a Zach Orr guy. I want him to do well. I think he's super smart, but I don't think he has that swagger and confidence as a D coordinator. I think he overthinks. I think he overcomplicates the game. Just like trying to live up to the genius that Mike Macdonald was as a D coordinator. I think he's just overthinking the game and not keeping it simple for these players. And he's putting he always puts a lot of pressure on certain positions. I think last year we saw Roquan having too much to handle, and Roquan was looking super slow and super confused because he had too much responsibility. And to your point earlier about Malachi Starks, I feel like there's going to be a little bit too much responsibility put on Malachi Starks as a rookie because Orr just overcomplicates this defense. So I don't know. There's a lot of experience on the defensive coaching staff. So I think if there was to be a move made this year, if there's a move to be made, it needs to be made this year if this continues, because this is like an all-in year. You got guys like, I think Corey's talking about, like, you got Pagano on the defense. He can take over. He's ran this defense before. But I think the pressure is going to have to come from the front office because it's not going to come from Harbaugh. Harbaugh is like loyal to his guys. Like you said, he always wants to prove that he has this great coaching tree. But we can't have any more games like what we saw in Buffalo. None. And I think if we have a bad showing this week, and I think we have the Chiefs coming to town in 2 weeks. Is that right? We have to see improvement, a lot of improvement from this defense, or the fans are going to come calling, which is going to bring that front office to come talk to Harbaugh.
No, and yeah, I think that's my thing is like, how often are they going to let Harbaugh keep making the decisions when it comes to coordinators? I mean, you look at 2014. I remember, I don't know, it was a rumor going around that they told Harbaugh to kind of create a list of coordinators OCs he wanted to replace, what's his name, with Caldwell with when he left. And apparently the list was like trash. They did not like the list. And Ozzie, it was very well known that Ozzie was the one that hired Gary Kubiak and brought him in offense. That was the first time, at least for us, I know under the Flacco years, that offense was just as good during the regular season. That was the first time we had a top 10 offense that we've seen even before Lamar Jackson. And since then, they've gone through Greg Roman and all this other stuff where they had the number one rushing offense and stuff. Passing was meh. But when they got Mike Macdonald, We saw that first year very similar to what Zach Orr was going through last year, but he fixed it. He fixed it going to that second year, and you didn't see a letdown. When the second year started for Mike Macdonald, he didn't have what Zach Orr had in Bills game. That defense that second year from week 1 on was a dominant defense. The year we went to play the Chiefs, in the AFC title game, that defense was one of the best years that they had on a regular season. Mike Macdonald leaves and goes head coach in Seattle. And, picking Zach Orr, I think, like you said, at first you were like, Zach Orr was one of the last guys hold over from the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed days. And, it felt like he knows the attitude and the stuff he needs to bring to this defense and things like that. But it's very clear that when it comes to scheme and when it comes to personnel decisions, he just doesn't have it. Maybe he needs to go back to being a linebacker coach, for the Ravens. Sometimes it's not everybody's made to be a coordinator. Not everybody, when they bring up coordinators to be head coaches, we've seen time and time again where coordinators don't make great head coaches. Look at Mike McDaniel right now in Miami. He's a genius when it comes to offense, but being a head coach is very different. Like being a position coach is very different, than coaching the entire side of the ball. So it's a very different thing when he's just focused on the linebacking play. But it's very clear, the D-line outside of Matabike and I think Travis Jones didn't play well. Owe didn't really do much of anything. Van Noy again, he looks already old in week 1. Roquan playing out of position with Trenton Simpson, pretty much giving his spot taken up by a guy that was undrafted. They got this guy Buchanan out there, and he's decent in coverage. But when you have a guy that's undrafted taking your spot, like that's not a good look.
Not at all.
That's not a good look.
Not at all.
And look, Malachi Starks had a chance at a pick. Awuzie had a chance at a pick. I think those will happen, but not getting pressure was unacceptable. Not getting any pressure. We said that week 1, right? We were at training camp. We were all excited. Like, man, it's gonna be shut. They're gonna shut everything down. No fly zone. And they was Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman and just destroyed this defense. And it wasn't anything extravagant. The Josh Allen and Sean McDermott called a game plan basically where we're just going to take what they give us. They kept running out routes, little comeback plays and screen plays. That was it. They didn't really do anything down the field that much, but they just went down the field like that. And that soft zone coverage that the defense was playing and the Ravens playing 8-9 yards off the receiver. If you're going to give them 8-9 yards, he's like, okay, I'll take that. Give me my 7-yard reception and we'll keep moving down the field. And then I think that one play they showed where they didn't contain, all game, they didn't contain Josh Allen. He would get out of the pocket, escape, and get 5 or 6 yards off break. There was no containing on Josh Allen. So it's just, I think it's infuriating knowing this is the last team you played before this season. Most of the team is pretty much the same, especially on offense. And your defense looked like they didn't know what team they were playing. Looked like they had no idea. You couldn't get off the ball. They had that one sack and they think they lucked into that. I think Josh Allen just stayed in the pocket too long and kind of fell into it. So they got no pressure on the outside. There were no nickel blitzes, no safety blitzes, no stunt plays, nothing exotic. They said they ran a base defense and they stayed in it the entire game. So I don't know what was going on, what is going on with the defense. Like I said, with the title, we go back to EDC. While it looks like he's been pretty good at drafting wide receivers now, good at drafting tight ends. O-linemen's here and there. Safety plays really good. Cornerbacks really good. But that middle of the defense has been struggling. The linebacking play, you trade for Roquan, and while he was good the first 2 years of that contract he's never been good the last 2. He hasn't been good the last 2. And then on the outside, Owe, Ajabo's not even dressing now at this point. You have one true outside linebacker and maybe Mike Green at this point. I'm not even going to count Calvin Owe because of how limited he's going to be out there, but he shouldn't be playing 80% of the snaps. Calvin Owe should be a situational player. He's too old. Be playing 80% of the downs. And it's very, very apparent that the Ravens are not putting in the amount of money they need to into this defense. Like, they should know, hey, we can draft safeties. We can draft cornerbacks. We don't need to spend the money on that. We're pretty good on that. But we need to go put some extra money into edge rushers. They haven't been putting any money to edge rushers. We're going to draft this David Ajabo out of Michigan who just had a knee injury and hasn't been right since. We're going to draft Dafe Owe, who had 0 sacks at Penn State, and hopefully he's going to turn into a 10-plus sack guy for us. And they're literally just taking these project guys, hoping they turn out to be, superstars. Hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. And then I think, like we said, we were talking in the chat, like we look at Michael Parsons and what he's doing in Green Bay right now. And it's like Green Bay went and got him. They went and got him, and it's already paying dividends for them. He's brought an energy to that defense, and they were already good. The Packers defense was already good, but bringing an energy to that defense, knowing you have that one game record on that side of the ball, forces the offense to have to play differently. And it just feels like the Ravens, I don't know. It just feels like they don't want to spend the extra money to go build that team. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the defense, I can't really put too much blame on the secondary for what happened. I know you look at the stats and you see 300-plus passing yards. But in that first half, those yards were coming just off like guys taking bad angles. It wasn't even a secondary. It was like the whole team taking bad angles because of those quick throws. Like you were seeing a lot of lateral plays, a lot of swings to the running backs, a lot of quick outs like you were saying earlier. So, like, they were just getting the ball out fast. And, I think we will take that because as the game went on, we shut that down. Now, the end of the first half, parts of the third quarter, and that whole fourth quarter, Josh Allen was just taking strolls and walks on the beach behind that line of scrimmage. Had all day to throw the ball. That last drive in the first half, he had so much time. And that's why I was upset with Kyle Van Noy over there on the outside in coverage. Because you don't rush Josh Allen, don't put a DB there, and he gets all the time in the world to make a great throw. Like, I don't like Josh Allen, but I will not deny that he is a top 3 quarterback in this league. I will not deny that. He is a top 3 quarterback in this league. You can't give him that much time. The secondary a defense cannot play zone coverage for 10 seconds. They can't because there's going to be voids that are open, and Josh Allen's going to make that throw. And, Khalil Shakur is not a number 1 receiver, but he's a good receiver. He can catch the ball. Keon Coleman, he was touted as a playmaker coming out of college. If you give Josh Allen that much time just to take walks on the beach, he's going to build a sandcastle. And that's what he did that whole fourth quarter. He built sandcastle after sandcastle after sandcastle and completely picked apart our defense because the secondary cannot cover that long. It's not realistic. We put no pressure. Owe didn't show up. I've been caping for him for years. I've been on the Owe bandwagon. You did not show up. Kyle Van Noy, you didn't show up. I get it, you're old, but you weren't there. To be honest, the person bringing the most pressure, Mike Green. They you know what? They were double teaming Mike Green. I was watching. They were double teaming him. He was getting past one guy, got met with another guy. Other times there was a double team off jump. He was getting into that backfield. Unfortunately, he didn't make that many plays, but he was the only guy getting consistent pressure back there. We need better play from our edge rushers. We need better play from Beaks. It just needs to improve. Our secondary cannot cover for that long, or this is going to keep on happening, especially in the AFC where you have top-tier quarterbacks, top-tier wide receivers, and we have a team in our division who has 2 wide receiver ones, has a running back that can catch, has some tight ends that can catch, and has another top 3 quarterback. And I'm talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. We can't continue this way. Defensively, we have to build more pressure. We have to. You get pressure on any quarterback. I don't care if it's Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Montana. I don't care who it is. You pressure the quarterback, they are going to turn the ball over or they're going to be inaccurate on their throws because pressure causes them to leave their mechanics and makes the throw harder to make. It's that simple. That's football.
Yeah, and I go back to also I was thinking about that O-line play in several of the games, that game against the Bills too. Lamar, I was telling somebody, Lamar masked a lot of issues with the O-line because of how his ability to just escape and get out of dangerous plays. But Ed Oliver was destroying Falele and Rosengarten. Like he was getting inside, he was pushing them into the backfield. And obviously, look, Falele played well towards the end of last year, and they felt like giving him the reins, this year for the second go around. But I don't know. They constantly, like, it's going to appear like against stronger defensive linemen are going to just be able to get him off his setting. They just push him in the backfield and allow blitzers to funnel in behind and get plays on Lamar Jackson and stuff like that. And that's going to be an issue. That's going to be an issue come later. And I know that they said, we got 16 weeks left, to get this thing going and stuff like that. But we've seen time and time again where what you did in week 1 and week 2 has a tendency to show up in January again. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at this game like, are we going to see this again in the divisional round or AFC Championship game? Are we going to see this again? Like, is this what's going to pop up? They're going to make it fumbles. Guys not knowing their assignments, guys looking like they're on skates, not getting pressure. This defense this year was all talk about we're gonna get takeaways, we're gonna attack the ball, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And I'm like, y'all did none of that. And it wasn't even a cold game. It wasn't a cold game. So I'm like, what's going on? All right, yeah. What's up, Trey? What's going on, man?
What's up, fellas?
Yeah, we were just, real quick. We were talking about like what you see the tagline, what's been going on with this defense.
Yeah. And
we were saying like this is obviously hasn't been a, just 1 to 2 year thing. This has been going on for a little while now. Since honestly, since Suggs retired and Ray and Ed and Pollard and all of them kind of left, we've been seeing the gradual decline of how good this defense is. And, there were some of the commentators have been saying it feels like Harbaugh has been coaching a team that doesn't exist anymore, where he's it feels like he doesn't realize his defense isn't that good. Like on paper, they're supposed to be, but in actual gameplay, they're not. They're not that good. And how often, at this point, we'll have to rely more on our offense to win these football games, being more complimentary, not scoring too fast, as they were saying. Like maybe you stay on the field for 5 or 6 minutes on the clock instead of having to give one and get in 3 plays. Because this defense we saw in the fourth quarter, they were gassed. They were tired out there. They're not rotating guys out the way they're supposed to be rotating them out. Like guys look like they're out of position. I was just telling Travis, Malachi Starks was out there talking or whatever. Like he's a rookie. Why is he talking on defense right now? And we were saying, Kava and Oy and them and Marlon said, they had a dinner after the game and kind of aired things out, after week 1 and, lack of maturity and all that. And what is your take on just how that game went down and what is going on now after week 1? After all offseason, you prepared for this monumental game and you put up a showing like that.
Yeah, I think it's to me it's plain to see that it's still a coaching issue. I mean, yes, our defense looks great on paper, and no, they did not perform, I guess, as well in that second half. But that's kind of the point to me. I feel like the tale of a good coach is showing a football team how to play for 4 quarters, and I think that's been kind of the downfall, historically for the Ravens, like, for the last several years. So I think it was more so about not really the defense playing bad, but how bad they played down the stretch. I think that's more of the story. I think we even got a sack in the first half of that game. But for some reason, when it comes to closing out the games, that's where our issue comes. That's like our kryptonite, is trying to close out a football game for some reason, whether it be on offense or whether it be on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, the glaring issue on defense has been our pass rush, and specifically after this Bills game, Jair Alexander didn't have a great game. We're going to try to, hope that's just like a one-off. This is the first game as a Raven, and maybe he just didn't expect what he expected out of some of those Bills receivers. But he looked pretty lost out there. But to me, it still comes down to coaching and understanding, the game, knowing how to close out a game. Some of the play calling down the stretch was very, very conservative. It's not a Ravens defense that I like seeing. Is when we're up and we start coming out and we're in these prevent looks and keeping everything under you or whatever the case may be. Because even when they go over that, it's like they get overly conservative. The passes are still going over the top somehow. So it didn't work. And a lot of that to me can be corrected just by a simple coaching adjustment. Like, look, this is the situation. We're up 15 points. We're up however many points. This is what we're going to do. How about play the same game you've been playing that got you to this point? At least defensively, because it's been working out for you. Josh Allen really didn't do anything. Josh Allen was dumping the ball off for the majority of that game up until the end, where for some reason we got super, super soft in coverage.
Not according to Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth said on that James Cook play, that was all Josh Allen. That was all just like
that glaze.
Oh my gosh.
50-yard play. Gosh. Josh Allen broke like 5 tackles. Come on.
Josh Allen was getting praised when he was throwing incomplete passes in that game. So we already know what type of time Chris Collinsworth was on, but that's a whole
glaze in the donut.
Yeah, it ain't enough glazed donuts in the world for the amount of glaze he was doing on that broadcast. It was actually sickening. And the fact that the Ravens let him come back and get the win on top of that, and now they're talking about how he solidified, how he should have won the MVP, and this, that, and the third. He shouldn't have won the MVP. I mean, it's clear. It was clearly a defensive debacle on the Ravens side. I've said it time and time again. Nobody in this league can hang with the Ravens. The only team that can beat the Ravens is the Ravens. That's literally been almost every game that we've lost. It's not been, I want to sound like a homer in that, obviously we are biased, but anybody who understands football knows that when you're up 40-25 in a football game with less than 5 minutes to go and you lose that football game, there's no one else to blame but yourself. I mean, it's not anything spectacular that the Bills did. Bills were playing pitch and catch at the end of that football game. Josh Allen was dropping back. He was basically a statue back there. He didn't have to do much moving around at all. And he would just toss into the wide open receivers based on that soft coverage and that lackadaisical defense we had out there. So to me, like I said, I think that's something that starts in the coaching room. Obviously, the players have to execute. But if you're putting that crazy lackadaisical philosophy out on the football field, where, we're just playing not to lose when you're up that many points, it's just inexcusable to me. So the defense definitely have some questions to answer because, like I said, with all that being said, I still think our pass rush is going to need some work because looking down the stretch, that pass rush did not look good towards the end of that game. Josh Allen was able to sit there and be a pocket passer, which that's not even really what he's known to do. Like he's known to break the pocket and make plays outside of the pocket with his legs or whatever. But yeah, we just let him drop back and beat Tom Brady. Like we just afforded him the time to do whatever he wanted. I think that's more of a glaring issue. And I'm hoping, like I said, the Jair thing is a one-off. We're going to cut him some slack. It was week 1. Obviously, he's battled injuries in his career. They say he might have been dealing with a knee or whatever the case may be. But if you step out on that field, we're going to expect the best from you. So we'll see in this Cleveland game because I don't think his task is going to be easier in this Cleveland game. I mean, Jerry Jeudy for last season had a pretty great year closing out that year. And, I feel like, with their Flacco there, we already know what he's going to do. Flacco is not going to flinch when he got a shot down the field. So got to get it together fast, man. Other than that, to be honest, I can't complain too much about the defense because outside of the pass rush, I didn't really see too much that was the cause of them losing outside of just stupid play calling. And that goes on both sides of the ball. But it is what it is, man. We just gotta switch up the philosophy. We gotta find ourselves again because that whole play like a Raven is starting to get real watered down after a while, especially after these losses.
For the last few years, play like a Raven means not finishing games.
Yeah. It means dominate. It means dominate for 3 quarters. That's what play like a Raven means.
And it's like teams now know if as long as we hang around, the Ravens are going to make a mistake. They're going to make a mistake and they're going to let us back in this football game and probably win it. So we just got to hang around long enough. And that's not Ravens football we're used to. So yeah, play like a Raven. Nah, I think that mantra's got to go until you establish what that means going forward. Now, Corey did mention we didn't get to this real quick, but we all wondered during the game why Keaton Mitchell was not returning kicks, why he was a healthy scratch. When we saw that, inactive report come out, we were like, is he hurt? Was he on the injury report? Nah. And then it comes out, Harbaugh says, well, I like Ali better on special teams. And, he doesn't really, block or whatever well in the run game or in the pass game and stuff. So we decided to keep Mitchell off the field and kind of made it seem like it's going to be very, very tough for Keaton to even get on the field, to even see snaps this year. I don't understand why you leave one of the most explosive players on your team on the bench. I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. That one's kind of strange to me. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to hold you.
It just came off like there's something going on, like Harbaugh's doghouse and all that other stuff. Like, what's going on?
Well, was Justice Hill going to be in the doghouse? He fumbled this year. I mean, he fumbled last week. I mean,
yeah.
I don't understand. Yeah, I just don't understand the philosophy. I think we need all the weapons, all the firepower we can get. I don't see why you hold him in the stable and what are you saving him for? Like you're literally just punishing him for whatever reason. I mean, Ali. I'll say this: Ali has had a good camp. He looked solid. He looks sure. I don't feel too nervous when he has the ball. So that's a good sign off the bat, seeing as though he's getting all the time that he's getting. But I mean, Keaton's still been there for like 3 seasons already. Like we've seen him make plays. We've seen a season where he almost took it straight to a championship before he got injured, and then things changed. Like we saw Keaton Mitchell do that for us. So I don't know. Maybe it's something in there that they know that we don't. But I'm not a fan of it. I say we activate all quarterbacks if we need to. I'm sure there's a position that we can keep somebody off the roster for a week. Yeah, Ricard's been out. Likely's been out. Like they had this. I feel like they had a roster space for him.
Yeah.
See, I don't understand that, especially in I get you want Wester back there on punt return because of what he did in preseason. But I don't understand not having Keaton Mitchell out there at all. Like I just don't understand that. He's too explosive. He's too explosive. You saw that even in preseason. Like we were all like, all right, Keaton Mitchell will get back on the field and going to do work. Keep him out of the game. I just don't understand that at all. What's the point of even having him on the team? Cut him. If you're not going to play him, just cut him. Cut him and get another special teamer.
Unless this is their way of saving him for the end of the season. But hey, we just lost that for week 1 game.
Yeah.
It's not like we got to get some wins filed up first.
When you're looking at this game coming up, and then the Bills going to just pass, and then the Chiefs game coming up. I mean, I wouldn't even talk about home field if they lose that game against the Chiefs. They don't even talk about home field now at this point. Like we got to win as many games as possible now to even get a high enough seed for the playoffs. Like we have me playing games around here. And then before we move on, the special teams play. Tyler Luke did fine. He missed extra point and everything. Made a 52-yard field goal for his initiation into the NFL. Knocked that through. He played well for most of the game, but the coverage on punt return, the coverage on kick return. I don't. Chris Horton has been the coach there for the last 3 years now, since Jerry Rosburg retired. When Jerry Rosburg was the coach, they didn't have these issues. They didn't have any of these issues. Chris Horton's been there. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. You can't have two sides of the ball playing like this. That's not how you win championships. You can't. You got special teams and defense. Guys don't know what they're doing. Personnel-wise, it's just wrong. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah, it looks bad. That special teams looks. They have their moments, but then in other things, other moments it's just not good. Whether it's blocking on the punts or whatever it is, it's just not for a team that's headed by a John Harbaugh special teams expertise head coach. You would think that we would have one of the best special teams in the league, which it used to be that. Baltimore Ravens used to come up and they were used to be zero questions about our special teams. We're far from that now.
Yeah. Very far from it. I mean, I'm encouraged by Tyler Luke. I mean, granted, that missed extra point. We lost by a point.
That wasn't good.
Yeah. But overall, I feel like, our return teams look good, but those coverage teams, how long did you say Horton's been here? 5 years?
At least 3 or 4 years, yeah.
3 or 4 years? Yeah, that's around the time it's been bad. So I look, we need all three phases to be on point if we're going to be a championship team. Our championship team had good special teams, aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Cap used to come down the field knocking guys out. Way back in the day, we had what's my man? Wasn't it Jamie Sharper? It was what's the guy? Brad Harris used to come down.
Mhm.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
I remember
even the dude that retired, he was
Pete
on
Mitchell's
our
dad.
last Super Bowl team. What was his name? The guy with the dreads.
Guy with the dreads.
He made the last tackle in the last Super Bowl against the Niners.
Ellaby? Is that Ellaby? Not Ellaby.
No, not Ellaby. It was I'll get his name, but he retired. But yeah, he was a part of those great special teams rosters too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when the Ravens had a 6'3" linebacker that ran a 4'3" out there playing gunner, just knocking guys out for a couple of years. I mean, special teams used to be like our strength, and now it's like our Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Outside of pass rush, but yeah, we need some major improvements. Like we need to see improvement this week in every phase of the game. Granted, it's the Browns, but show me something. Show me something.
All right, we'll move to our Bells and Pookies of the week. All right, one of us can pick a Ravens unit or player. So I feel like all our Pookies are going to be just coaching staff for the Ravens.
Oh,
yeah. But we'll do the Bells first. This week. Who kind of show. I'll start first. Or showed out this week. I'll just say the Packers defense. Packers defense for the last two, just this week, and then we saw in the Thursday night game against Commanders. Since Micah Parsons gotten there, even I think that week 1 game where they played the Vikings, like the crowd's excited. Everybody in Green Bay is excited. They really do feel like they have a chance at the Super Bowl now. Jordan Love has been really good with the football. He made a play on Thursday night where he was like put his shoulder in, to a linebacker, knocked him off his feet, got a first down. So they're playing tough on both sides of the ball. Micah's getting pressure. He looks like he's rejuvenated now, being out of Dallas now. Everybody's just playing good football. That Packers team, and look, Tyler Kraft at tight end for the Packers is underrated. I know we give a lot of credit to Andrews and Porter. That man,
Tucker Kraft, he's a beast.
He might have a Pro Bowl year this year. So I'm going to give that to the Packers defense, just how they just look dominant out there right now, and just how well they played these 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to JJ McCarthy. I think JJ he started off like we expected a rookie to start off a game. And that was due to a lot of just having tons of pressure, not really having great blocking early on in that football game. And then he turned it around and he looked like he was NFL ready. Like, not only that, like he was making game-changing plays in that game. And I'm gonna just give him a bell just off of just starting off the way he started off. I mean, that was just an excellent game that he played, coming off of some adversity, because he threw a pick six in that game as well. And he was able to just bounce back. You shook that right off of him, and he was able to continue to make plays down the field to Justin Jefferson and everyone else. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it to JJ McCarthy, but I do like that Packers defense pick you picked, because they just look phenomenal. Michael Parsons himself, just the fact that he only had, I think, a half a sack in that game, and he generated that much chaos on that defensive line for that offense, man. I got to double down on the bell for that one too.
Man, I feel like we've been doing this podcast so long. We're just all on the same wavelength, because those were my bells. So I have to take your JJ McCarthy and raise you a Daniel Jones, because my man came out there, almost threw for 300 yards, had like 3 touchdowns. Maybe it's the Giants. Just maybe it's the Giants and not Daniel Jones. So I'm going to go with him. That was like a great start, because I honestly had the Colts being the worst team in the league just off the fact that he was the starting quarterback. But now I have to change the tune. On that. But yeah, I'm with you on the Packers defense. They are scary. I'm scared to play them when we do. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Daniel Jones.
Are they on our schedule this year? We got that division.
I think so. Yeah, I think we got the Packers.
We got the Lions. We got the
AFC
Packers.
North. NFC North.
That's going to be a game.
Pookie's. Start with Pookie's. And while he started off the game, the first 10 passes, he was Stringer Bell. The second half of the game, Pookie and Caleb Williams.
Oh yeah.
He was garbage. The last part of that game. I think at halftime I had turned it off. And I was like, okay, he looked like he was moving out of the field. And then I saw the clips and the people commenting on the game. And everybody was just shaking their head like he's not progressing. He's not. They were like, the one thing they said he's clearly not doing is, while he is going through his reads, he's not going through the right reads. They're like, he's not realizing the defense, realizing, this guy is my primary receiver, but based on their coverage, he's not going to be open. So I need to go look at number 2 when I come out when the ball snaps. I can't even look at him. But they said he's still looking for that guy, missing the guys, other people that be wide open. He's holding the ball too long. They said the main thing he does well is get out of the pocket and make plays, but he's not even doing that well. And I don't know. A lot of Bears fans aren't too. The first experiment with Ben Johnson, and I know Ben Johnson's like, I can't script all the plays for you, man. I can't script all the plays for you. At some point, we got to go with the flow of the game. And Caleb Williams is struggling. He's struggling, looking good right now. So he's my for the week.
And like you said, he looks so good in the beginning of that game.
That first 10 passes, he was like,
they could not get a hand on him. Like the way he was making moves in the backfield, making guys miss and scrambling. Like, yeah, that was tough. It was literally him. JJ McCarthy stole that belt right off of his plate. Like, it's crazy. But I think my Pookie, and I didn't really have too much time to think of it. I mean, John Harbaugh is obvious, right? I mean, we're not even bringing him up. Harbaugh to me
most
is
double digit, most losses.
Like you're making history for all the wrong reasons at this point, and just him remaining being propped up by 52, 20, 8. Like, come on, man! Like those days are over for you. Lamar can't keep saving you every week. But anyway, Pookie is tough. It's kind of hard to look away from the Ravens game because I was, obviously we were more invested in that one. And I shot Jair some bail in a recap, but he got to get the Pookie, man. I mean, down the stretch, like, you got to make those plays. And then on top of that, you tackle the guy, you shoelace tackle him at the end of the game, and now they get to run the whole clock out, and now the game is definitely over. Not that that's something that you're processing in your head. Maybe if you had a good head coach, you would tell him, if they break it, let them go. But, we don't have either. But yeah, I have to give the Pookie to Jair, even though I think he'll bounce back. I hope he'll bounce back. We don't have a choice. But I'll give it to him. And there was one other Pookie that I had that I'm not sure if I'm going to remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah, so many Pookies to go around. There was a lot of bad football. The Dolphins, I think, man, they're just awful. Man, we talked about Mike McDaniels being like an offensive coordinator genius, but as a head coach, this man is trash. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you got Devin Achaney, and you can't put more than 8 points, not even 14 points. You can only put 8 points up against the Colts. Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are awful. Can I give a bonus one?
Yeah, please.
Y'all know I got to go down to Carolina and talk about my man Bryce Young because he looked terrible. I had Bryce Young super high coming into the season, and the showing he put up in the first game against the Jaguars, I'm just like, all right, maybe the end of last year was just an aberration, and he really just doesn't have it in him. Like, he didn't look like an NFL quarterback. He looked like he needed to be a water boy, a practice squad player. He's just not he didn't look like an NFL quarterback. He looked pretty awful to have all the weapons he has. So, Bryce Young.
And I think that's brave for next week. We can definitely talk about this new batch of quarterbacks going into their second and third years are not living up to the hype that we thought they were. Like this, I think that's something to be talked about. This next generation of quarterbacks is not living up to what everybody hyped them up to be. And I think it's a discussion for later.
Did you see that? Did you see that comment Stretch put at the about trading Harbaugh for Tomlin?
Yeah, look,
I thought that was interesting.
Tomlin has struggled for the simple fact that he hasn't had an elite court. I believe if he had Lamar Jackson on that team, they would win a Super Bowl by now.
Well, yeah.
They would have won a Super Bowl by now if they had Lamar Jackson. But they've been struggling trying to find a quarterback. They've been struggling since Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that scenario will never happen.
Right.
But hypothetically, if it were to happen, I think
because Tomlin doesn't lose those kind of games.
Yeah, we cruise.
He doesn't lose those kind of games. He actually wins those kind of games.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
So let's do our week 2 picks real quick. So Giants Cowboys. Giants are playing in Dallas home game. First home game without Micah Parsons. I wonder how the fans are going to kind of be. He was seeing Micah already play 2 games already, and he's not going to be wearing a Dallas uniform. Giants go into town. Does Jackson Dart get the start for this game? Or they do Russell Wilson one more? They let Russell go out there one more time?
They're going to let Russell cook.
That man's working at McDonald's right now. He's working at a 5-star restaurant.
He better get Malik Neighbors in football. I know that. Man. You better find a way to get that man in football.
I'm gonna pick the Cowboys in this one at home. Giants.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys too. I think Cowboys offense looked phenomenal. Against the Eagles. Obviously they didn't execute on a couple of those plays because CeeDee Lamb had some, like 3 crucial drops. But outside of that, the offense looked great. Their running game existed. They looked good. And Dak played a pretty good game as well. So I think that might be too much for the Giants, even though, I'm not too super low on the Giants this year, as low as what I started. I think they'll be, formidable opponents, but not in this game. I think the Cowboys win this one.
The only job Russell Wilson needs to have these days is a stay-at-home fertility bank for his wife, because that's all he's good at. So I got the Cowboys winning this. I think Russell, he mails it in again. Malik Neighbors throws a fit on the sideline, and the Jackson Dart era starts week 3 earlier than anybody would have thought.
All right. Next game, Seahawks travel to Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, to play Pittsburgh. This one actually should be a pretty good game. Now, the Steelers did give up 30 points on defense, which is uncharacteristic. They did make plays at the end. That Jalen Ramsey tackle on Garrett Wilson was phenomenal. That was even I'm not a Steelers fan. I like
that was a great play. That was a great play
right there at the end of the ball game. And it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good game. Even though you don't like West Coast teams traveling, especially early morning, early games on Sunday. But I do think that Mike McDonald's defense, especially with familiarity with the AFC North, I think keeps this. It's going to be one of those grinded out games, I think. But I still think with the Steelers at home, they probably eke this one out. Not by a lot, but I think they eke this one out.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think this is going to be a good game. But I do think I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers put up 4 TDs. I'm still not sold, man. It still didn't look good to me. Like,
we've been fooled before.
We've been fooled before. And what I told y'all last week in our picks, I think I had Pittsburgh Steelers winning, and they were going to think that they were good. I think I mentioned that they were going to win that game against the Jets, and that was going to have them feel it. I think in week 2, I think Seattle's going to go over there, and I think Seattle's going to win. I think Sam Darnold. Is it Sam Darnold over there now? Sam Darnold, got another week under him. Jackson Smith and Jigba's look pretty decent as well over there. Kenneth Walker III, Charbonnet, all of those guys. I think they got a couple weapons over there that the Steelers might not be able to handle coming off that Jets game. So I got Seattle winning.
Yeah, I got Seattle too. I was thinking last week they lost to a really good 49ers defense, and I think they just didn't have the greatest game plan in the world offensively. I don't know how Cooper Kupp only gets like 2 targets, and I don't think they use Kenneth Walker enough. Granted, Charbonnet was getting his, but you got to put the ball in Kenneth Walker's hands, whether it's giving him a carry or getting the ball out the backfield. So I think they do that this week. I'm thinking that Pittsburgh defense isn't as good as they think it is, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is putting up 4 touchdowns every week. I think the Jets just were all types out of sorts. So Pittsburgh's not as good as they think. Seattle takes this one.
Yep.
All right, next game, Rams Titans. Titans are trash, garbage right now. Like it's a bad team. Rams.
Yeah.
Especially Matt Stafford. As long as Matt Stafford is healthy, the Rams are going to be a good football team.
Yeah, as long as Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua are standing up on the offensive side of the ball.
Williams, they're going to be straight.
Kyron Williams, I got the Rams. Just too much firepower for the Titans to handle. Cam Ward, I think it's going to take a little bit for him to get it going. But I got the Rams, winning. I wouldn't say easily, but it'll be a convincing win, I'll say.
Yeah, I think Rams easy. I mean, I think Cam Ward's sick of his receivers already, the way they drop the ball. So I think the Rams make easy work of the Titans. I think Cam Ward flips out on one of his receivers this week.
Who's that over there? Calvin Ridley?
Calvin Ridley, Tyler
one of them had all those drops? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, not good.
All right. Next game, Bills-Jets, 1:00 game. This one is actually, I think a lot of people have already said that they expect this would be a perfect matchup for the Jets defense against the Bills. And a true test for Aaron Glenn, to try to, get the defense ready, for this Bills offense. And I think the one thing the Jets do well for the most part is they do take the ball away and can get pressure. Obviously, I think week 1 was a different animal just because it's his first game for Aaron Glenn, and everything like that. But they do say it's a good matchup. They're playing in New York. The Bills are coming off an emotional win, and the Jets are coming off an emotional loss. So it's one of those things where in a division opponent, I think the Jets kind of humbled the Bills a little bit in this game. And I don't think Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir can get away with what they did against the Ravens. I don't think Aaron Glenn is going to let them just do the out routes and doing that down the field. I think they have enough. They have good cornerbacks over there where they can play man coverage. And, these guys aren't burners at all, like Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir. I think that's the one thing they said about Keon Coleman last year was that he can't get separation. Like his one thing is jump ball, like the jump ball. Like he's not going to get separation, just throw kind of one-on-one. But I think Aaron Glenn is going to know that. And I just think he's going to dial up pressure on Josh Allen and like you guys said, force him to make mistakes. So I think that I think the Jets win this game.
Yeah, I would love for the Jets to win, especially when it comes to some of the 1 seed implications with the Bills. I think the Bills are probably going to be one of those top teams in the running for it. But I got the Bills winning. I just think they're coming off a emotional win against us. They're probably feeling themselves right now. Probably got a lot more confidence. The Jets, I do think, are going to give them a run for their money. But I think James Cook and Keon Coleman, and I think they'll give them just enough to win that game. So I still got the Bills winning, even though I do like the Jets, putting up a fight.
Yeah, I got the Bills.
Oh, he just left by accident.
But he said he had the Bills.
He has the Bills.
Right,
he got the Bills.
Yeah. Oh, he's back. I think he's back.
Kick me out?
No. I don't know what happened, man. That was me. You said the Bills and the stream was
I got the Bills and you was gone.
Man, I'm over here trying to put all our picks down and accidentally hit the back button. But I got the Bills. Man, you give 4 touchdowns to Aaron Rodgers. I don't have a lot of faith in your defense right now. Granted, they got 4 sacks on the Steelers, but the Steelers have the worst offensive line in the league. So I just don't think they have enough on defense to stop the Bills. I think the Bills will win this, but I think it's going to be 2 30 burgers. I mean, do we even say burgers with 30? 2 30-point. They're both going to get 30. So I think it's going to be a shootout here, but I think the Bills take it.
All right, next one, Patriots-Dolphins. I think Pat's going to Miami. Yeah, I think Miami's just ready to quit already. Like they had an all TANs meeting, all team player meeting after week 1. It's not a good look. Tyreek Hill is crashing out on the sideline. He's got apparently some domestic abuse allegation stuff going on. Where if they wanted to trade him, that's not going to happen now. Teams aren't like, nah, we ain't touching that. Nah, we're good. And I just, the Bills are just imploding it now at this point. It's just a matter of now counting down to when Mike McDaniel is going to be out as head coach in Miami. So Patriots win this one.
Yeah, I think this game might be a mid-off. I don't want to pick either one, but I actually think the Dolphins might get this one because they kind of got to. They kind of got to. You lose to this Patriots game, it's not, it's going to be even more of a cluster than it already is. At some point, like your weapons on that team have to matter for something. I mean, you can't. I just don't think the Patriots. They haven't shown me enough yet to make me think they're gonna win this game outside of what Miami has shown me about themselves. So I'll give Miami the benefit of the doubt and say they'll win this game. But I think it's gonna be a close, low scoring game.
I like mid-off. I think it'll be that, but I think the Dolphins are a little bit worse than mid. I think they're just awful.
It's bad.
Look, I like the Pats. I think they are on the top tier of mid teams. I think Drake May looks better this year. I like that receiver they got. I don't want to say his name because of pause, but his first name is Kayshawn. And I think Travion Henderson is a star to be in this league. I think they'll give him the ball more. So I think the Pats take this one. I think they take this one. I think the Dolphins, you'll see that Tyreek Hill trade request come very soon.
Is that would that happen to be Boutte or Boutte? Boutte?
I think
his name is Boutte. That's how you pronounce his name.
I think it's Boutte.
Boutte.
Yeah.
Boutte.
So Travis
Boutte
got the Patriots
is going to get on the end zone.
Some Boutte. Got it.
Bengals, Jags. Bengals at home.
Bengals at home? That's important.
Travis Hunter, make another appearance here. I mean, they struggled against the Browns. Was it 17, 16? I think that last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they came back late in that game and won.
Yeah, so that Bengals O-line ain't looking too good. They showed a couple clips of Joe Burrow like getting rocked. So I don't know how. We'll see. Now the Jags defense isn't like lights out or anything like that. But the thing is, I think we expect this Bengals offense to have at least one good showing. Like they've been hyping up this offense for all off season now. I expect them to have that game, and I think this will be it against the Jags. And it'll be a good test for Travis Hunter. This will be if he plays corner a lot of them. This will be a good test for him.
Yeah, I think since he wins this, only because Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I think it's going to be as simple as that. I think it's going to be an offensive game, and I just think Joe's going to put up more points. It's going to be a lot to ask for that Jaguars defense to stop Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and I just don't see it this week. Trevor Lawrence, he looked okay last week. I think he threw a pick as well. So yeah, it's just a matter of I just trust a Joe Burrow offense over the Jags offense, and I don't think either one of them are going to do anything spectacular on defense. So I got the Bengals.
Oh, this is probably the most difficult pick for the week for me. This feels like a mid-off too, like top-tier mid. I don't know because Cincy's offensive strategy confused the hell out of me last week. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were trying to be the Baltimore Ravens or something. I think I'm going to go with Cincy. I think maybe they get back to their identity of being a passing offense thrown for 300 yards. I just don't think the Jaguars can keep up with the high-scoring game. I think their path to victory is balanced between Etienne and Lawrence. So I'm going to pick Cincy.
All right. Speaking of mid-off, 49ers against the Saints. Brock Purdy's out for the next 3 to 5 weeks. Kittle's out for 3 to 5 weeks.
Who's their backup?
I don't know.
Do we even know?
Hold on, who's back up? Oh,
49ers.
It's Mac Jones.
Is Mac Jones?
Oh, Mac Jones.
It's gonna be this is a mid-off. But
Right,
the Saints are at
Mac
home, so I'm gonna
Jones
take the
versus Spencer No,
Is Rattler still? No.
is it who's?
Is it Rattler? Rattler was the starter week 1. Yeah.
So I'm assuming.
Hold on.
Not Tyler
Last
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
can we
think it's still
skip?
Rattler. I think it's Rattler. Still the quarterback.
Can we skip this one?
Yeah, no, it's a mid-off.
No,
I'm gonna
joking.
say it's a tie. This game's gonna be a tie. This is trash.
It's going to be
I say the
actually-
Saints win just because they're at home. Saints win.
Saints are at home. Okay, I'll give it to the Saints too. I think I got Shaheed on as one of my bench players. He might actually be a flex receiver this week. I don't know yet.
Okay.
But he got like 13 points last week somehow, so he might be actually starting.
So both of y'all got the Niners?
No,
I
Saints.
said Saints.
Oh, both of y'all got the Saints. Oh,
Yeah, Saints at home. So
I'm going with the Niners. I just think the Saints are bad.
It's that bad.
So, they're bad.
well, Mac Jones
And they
will
don't-
tell you to hold his beer. Hold my beer. I'll show you what
Hey,
bad can look like.
He got McCaffrey, man.
That's
he got
true.
McCaffrey and
That's
he
true.
got Kyle Shanahan. So
Battle
I'm
of running
sure-
backs.
I'm gonna stick with that.
Kamara and McCaffrey in this one.
Because that's all Brock Purdy did last week was dump it off to McCaffrey.
Yeah, and they got Brian
And,
Robinson
and
Jr.
they got Ricky Pearsall, who
Pearsall's
had a
killing.
great game last week.
We'll see.
Okay,
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And
I
Trent
forgot
Williams
about
will be back.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm still giving it to the Saints just because they
I'm
home,
giving the
but,
Saints, yeah.
but we'll see.
Bears Lions. The Lions both teams have something to prove after last week. The Lions offense did not look good. It's clear that they're missing Ben Johnson on offense. Jared Goff, I don't know if he's still recovering from that loss in the playoffs last season. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Does Caleb if they can run if they can run a scripted offense for like 30 plays, the Bears can probably win this football game. But if any point Caleb has to make plays on the fly and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and I expect the Lions because of it's going to be an interesting game because Ben Johnson's coaching against his old team. He knows the defense's weaknesses. He knows where they're good and not good at. So I give him an advantage there. But at the same time, Caleb Williams is his quarterback. He doesn't have Amon-Ra St. Brown on that offense. Doesn't have Jahmyr Gibbs. Swift has been good. I like Roma Dunze. I like DJ Moore. But Lions at home. Ben Johnson coming back playing as a head coach. I think the Lions obviously trying to play catch up to the Packers right now. Everybody's trying to play catch up to the Packers right now. They got to get a win. Need a divisional win. I think the Lions win this one. I think it's a good game, but I think the Lions win this one.
Yeah, I think the Lions learned a little bit more about themselves this week. I think they do get the win. Offense did not look recognizable last week in that Detroit game, but I think they might get back on track with this with the Bears coming to town. I got Jared Goff going off in this one, and Jahmyr Gibbs kind of making right from last week as well.
Yeah, I think last week you saw the gaps that the Lions have on the offensive line right now and the loss of Ben Johnson. And I think the big thing is like you're seeing Jared Goff have to be the man. And I don't think he could be the man. When last year when things weren't right and he had to be the man, you saw a 5-pick game. You saw some other crazy bad games. So I think last week was what happens when you put a Micah Parsons everywhere on that defensive line. This week, I don't think that's happening. I'm not scared of the Bears. I think they give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They each get 20 touches. I'm taking the Lions.
Next game, Broncos-Colts. Broncos at Colts.
That should be
it'll be an interesting game because while the Broncos offense is, Knicks did not play well in that game. The Broncos defense is still really good. Daniel Jones, had a pretty good game, but against that Broncos defense is going to be very interesting. So we'll have to see how that pans out. We'll have to see how that pans out. But I think the Broncos defense it's still Daniel Jones. So I think the Broncos defense wins this game for Denver. I don't think it's the offense, but I think Broncos either by putting the offense in good situations on the opposite side of the field or getting some touchdowns. But I think the Broncos defense shows out in this game. I think Broncos win it.
Who's home in this one?
Indiana Colts.
Colts are home. I think this will be will the real Daniel Jones please stand up game? Because I think last week I don't think that's going to be sustainable for him. He had a great game for the Colts, but I don't know. I think Bo Nix is going to have a better game than he had last week, and I think, like you said, that defense is just going to be a little bit more of a challenge for Daniel Jones than what he saw. So I'm taking the Broncos in this one, but I do think this is going to be a great game. This might be one of the better games of the weekend.
Oh man, that's another tough one. Yeah, I think the Broncos are going to win. I trust Bo Nix in this game more than I do Daniel Jones. I think last week is more how bad the Dolphins were. So I think the Broncos settle in. It may be a close game, but I think the Broncos take it.
All right, next is Panthers Cardinals, another mid-off. I don't want to watch this football game at all. So, I'll take the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cardinals just because of run game, James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr. might get in the end zone once or twice. I'll take the Cardinals in this one. I don't really have any expectations for the Panthers, except I just need some scores from Chuba Hubbard for fantasy.
I like that. Chuba Hubbard is a sleeper in fantasy. To be honest, I think the Cardinals are underrated, so I'm definitely taking them here. Yeah, I think Bryce Young is ass, so that's my explanation.
Damn.
All right, Eagles Chiefs, potentially game of the week. Chiefs coming off losing to the Chargers. Travis Kelce taking out Xavier Worthy, separating his shoulder. Hollywood Brown did have a pretty good game. His stat line was actually pretty good in that game. But
his drops.
Yeah, but it does appear though, like they were saying that the mystique is off of the Chiefs right now. The Eagles obviously with not having Jalen Carter for that, spit heard around the world in that Cowboys game, and the Eagles still were able to pretty much, win that football game. I think with Jalen Carter back in the defensive line, having something to prove after, letting the team down, I think he's going to be more amped to have a, crazy kind of game for him. But I just think this Eagles offense is still just running smooth. I need A.J. Brown to get the ball a bit more, especially in this game, with only that one target he got last week. So I expect that's going to be definitely peer through. But, the way they run the football with Jalen Hurts and with Saquon Barkley right now, I think that Steve Spagnuolo defense isn't as vaunted as it was before. And I don't know if you guys saw in that Chiefs game to end the game, Chris Jones, instead of playing contain, went inside of that offensive tackle and made the play. And you saw Thornhill right after that, take his helmet off and getting at Chris Jones, do your job. He was just you're so worried about getting the sack there instead of doing your job that we lost the football. So you're already starting to see, some friction there on that defensive side of the ball. And yeah, I just think that too, the wide receiver issues, for the Chiefs, they just, whether it be injuries or, drops, I just think that, look, the Patriots weren't dominant all 20 years when Purdy was there. They had moments, they had some years where they were down, and got this maybe that window that a lot of teams find open because the Chiefs just aren't what they are right now. They're going to do some rebuilding in the next year or two. So, but I think the Eagles, even though they're playing in Kansas City, I think the Eagles, they dominate this game, actually. I think they dominate this game and maybe provide more questions and answers for this Chiefs team.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. I honestly don't think this is going to be a good game. I mean, I know this is a game of the week. It's at 4:25, probably rightfully so. Instead of the night game, because I don't think that the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to be able to hang with this Eagles defense, especially not this defensive line that has Jalen Carter back on it. We saw what happened in the Super Bowl last year. Obviously, the rosters are slightly different. Eagles lost a few pieces, but that defensive line is still going to be ferocious. It's not going to be what you saw last week because with Jalen Carter in the mix, and I just don't think the Chiefs have enough weapons right now. The best weapon stepping on the field basically is Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Kelsey. So I just don't think they have the firepower, especially with Xavier Worthy being injured, Rashee Rice not being back from suspension yet. It's just that's going to be a tall hill to climb for them, and I don't think they get that done. Not in Philly, or I think they're in KC this week. Are they playing in KC? They're playing in KC, but yeah, I still don't think they get it done. I think Chiefs are 0-2 after tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm with y'all. This is going to be good. Taylor Swift can't save this team. I got the Eagles. They're missing their top two receivers. I don't know. Like my man Soy Sauce Sports says, Travis Kelsey is cosplaying as a right wing conservative, and that means this man's athleticism is gone. So I don't expect him to do much. I think Jalen Carter is going to shut down the run. I think he's going to get pressure on Mahomes. I think the Eagles win this handily. I think they win by 2 to 3 scores.
And what's the Falcons at Vikings, 8:20 Sunday Night Football game. So you get to see Michael Penix in that Falcons offense in primetime, JJ McCarthy as well, playing his first home game. That actually I think is going to be a decent. I think it's going to be a decent game to watch. Bijan Robinson obviously went off fantasy wise for a lot of people last week. That's good. I don't know how to call that game. I don't know. The Vikings defense is still decent. Brian Flores is still the coordinator for that defense, right? Am I right? Really, Brian Flores still the coordinator for that defense. So, rookie quarterback. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Vikings at home, just slightly, but Vikings at home.
Yeah, I had Vikings at home as well. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever you pick in this game, I don't think there's an argument for either side. I do like the Vikings defense a little bit as well, and like I said, I like what I saw from JJ. So I'm gonna stay on the JJ bandwagon until he proves me different. But I think having that first game under his belt, I don't see why he's going to regress coming into this game this week. But I do think this is going to be a solid game.
Yeah, I really like Penix. I really like Penix a lot and Bijan Robinson. I know they lost their first game, but I think this Falcons team is going to get better as the season goes on. So I'm going to say it starts today. I mean, not today, tomorrow. And I got the Falcons.
All right. And the Monday Night Football game, before we get to the Ravens, is it two? Oh, it's 2 Monday Night Football games. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Buccaneers at Texans.
Bucks.
I'll take the Bucks in that one. Yeah,
I'll take the Bucks.
Yeah,
I still don't know. I don't know what we're getting out of CJ. Still,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. And then Chargers at Raiders. That should be a good game. Chargers Raiders should be good.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh. That should be good. And with Herbert, in that offense looked pretty good against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think I'll have to take the Chargers in that one.
Yeah,
only because that offense was electric. Herbert looked great. We'll see. Like I said, I think that still should be a solid game. But I think this is a game where it's going to be all Herbert, Lad McConkey, and what's the running back?
Amari Hampton.
Amari Hampton. I think he's going to have like a more of a breakout game opposed to that week one where he was kind of getting his bearings together. I think he's going to have a way better game. So I think I got the Chargers, even though I do think the Raiders and some of the weapons they got over there, I think they're going to be okay as well. But I think it'll be a good game. But I got the Chargers.
Yeah, same. I got the Chargers. Greg Roman called a great first game. It looked like he's been stealing out of Todd Monken's playbook. So I think the Chargers take this. I don't think this is a good Raiders team.
All right.
Oh, and Quentin Johnston has been catching the football. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the key. That's the key to the game.
Honestly, catching the ball on third down.
All right. So on to the game that we all want to preview at this point. So we're going to Browns at Ravens right now. So as of this moment in the injury report, DT Mike Hall for the Browns is out. OT Jack Conklin, eye elbow is questionable. And running back Quinshon Judkins is not injury related, but questionable as well. From what I'm reading, it appears that Conklin and Judkins will be game time decisions. They're like 50-50 at this point. Browns offense, again, didn't look great. They struggled. Joe Flacco is a 41-year-old quarterback. So, but, the one thing he does do well is he still has an arm. He can still throw the deep ball. And for this defense is going to get a different look than what they had this past week, where Josh Allen and then we're doing more screen plays and, more out routes and comebacks and things like that, kind of staying underneath the defense, basically, where the coverage was, where I think that the Browns are going to try to go over the top in this game. Flacco's going to throw a lot of deep passes, I think, in this football game. What I'm worried about on defense is who's going to cover Njoku. Who's going to cover that, man? I'm not trusting Roquan. And Njoku, the last few times that now that he's been, more featured in the offense, has given us fits on defense. He's given us fits. He gets open. He's big. He's like a Derrick Henry type. Like he gets an open field and nobody wants to tackle him. He gets open field downhill, no one's tackling him. That kind of worries me on defense. If the Ravens defense is not providing pressure, you saw, like you guys said, where Josh Allen was basically playing like a statue back there. That plays into Joe Flacco's strength. If you're not getting pressure on Joe Flacco, then he's going to be able to throw the ball down the field. And even though he's 41, if you're a professional quarterback in the NFL and you're not getting pressure, you're going to be able to destroy most teams. I don't care who you are, backup or whatever. And I think if they don't get pressure on Joe Flacco and get him to move, it's going to cause issues. And Flacco was never the greatest, mobile quarterback, even when he was younger, for the Ravens. And now that he's older, getting any kind of pressure on Joe Flacco, I think, could provide huge dividends for this defense. But they got to get pressure. You got to see more exotic blitzes, some stunts and stuff like that. That's the one thing I think I saw, when Flacco was here, is his ability to not pick up the blitz. He was not good at that. He was not good at that, picking up the blitz. If I'm the Ravens, I'm blitzing him most of the game, hands down. He could not pick up the blitz well. He can't move out the pocket. He's going to get hit. He's going to, throw the ball sideways, and it's going to flutter. It's going to be opportunities for the Ravens defense to make plays. Now the Ravens offense, they got to deal with Myles Garrett this week. They didn't really have, Joey Bosa wasn't really providing that much pressure on Lamar, but Myles Garrett on that right side lined up against Rosengarten provides a problem for the Ravens. Now, the good part about that is the strength of the Ravens line is that left side of the ball. So it's going to be making sure for the Ravens, knowing where 95 is lined up, where is he on the field, to make sure where this play needs to run if they need to adjust. I don't want to see them, we're just going to run the play against Myles Garrett. He's going to do what Ed Oliver did. He's going to do what Ed Oliver did, and he's going to find a way to make those kind of plays. They got to find out where he's on the line and adjust if they need to. You got the formula. Run the ball with Derrick Henry. You get Lamar Jackson in play action game. Like to see more Rashad Bateman in this game catching the ball, and also Mark Andrews catching the ball. More tight end play in this game. This has got to be complimentary football game. They have to have the win on all three phases. I don't want to see this. The offense and defense play well, the special teams stunk. Or I don't want to see offense, special teams play well, but the defense stunk. Like, this has to be an all-encompassing game for the Ravens. They got to get on the right track now. This has to happen right now. They can't wait until Kansas City, because by the time you get Kansas City, it may be too late. This has to happen right now. So that's my preview.
Agreed. All of the above, man. I mean, we got to get back on track. I think offensive game plan wise, I wasn't too upset with the game plan that we had against the Bills. We were running the ball very, very well up until we had to switch it up. But I think we do the same thing here. I think we got to run the ball effectively, give the ball a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. Obviously, I would like to see Andrews and Kohler probably be a little bit more involved as well. Zay had a phenomenal game in Week 1. He had 100 and I can't remember how many yards and a touchdown. But obviously, we want to still be able to feed Zay, and but I don't want him to be our entire offense. I do want to see us spread the ball around a little bit more. Bateman can probably be a little bit more involved in this game as well. But all in all, if we can beat him just on the ground, then I'm cool with that as well. So I think offensively, honestly, the biggest challenge is going to be containing Myles Garrett because we see what he's on. He's not one of those players that's going to get paid and start playing different. Like Myles Garrett is a whole other animal. We saw what he did in Week 1, and we saw what certain players on our offensive line, Daniel Falele, did last week as far as just looking lost out there at times. Even though Lamar made the offensive line look better than what it was, there were some holes in that line and some of those stunts that were ran, and just guys just being out of position when it comes to finding somebody to block. So hopefully they can neutralize Myles Garrett. That's going to has to be their number one priority. And other than that, I think we do what we do offensively. We hand the ball off, do some play action, maybe some zone reads for Lamar to get him guessing. I mean, it seems like that's worked already. Even in the Bills game, I think we ran it a couple times and then went away from it for whatever reason. But yeah, I think offensively it's pretty simple. Don't let Myles Garrett wreck the game. Defensively, we have to play 4 quarters of football. That's really all it comes down to it. I don't have any critiques on Kyle Hamilton because he pretty much played a flawless game up until whatever that debacle was towards the end, where everybody seemed to just let up. But he's played phenomenal. Obviously, we've been preaching pass rush. We got to get to Joe Flacco. This game is when you play a quarterback like Joe Flacco, the formula is always going to be the same. If you get pressure on Joe Flacco at this stage of his career, the game isn't going to be that tough. As long as you don't let them gas you in the run game, which I don't see should be happening. But get pressure on the quarterback. We got to find our pass rush, and we don't have a lot of time to find it. I mean, our schedule early on has been it's been rocky. We already caught an L. We got a Chiefs team that's coming up next week after this game. We got to find our pass rush early in the season. We don't have the luxury of going halfway through the season, firing our secondary or firing our, replacing edge rushers towards the middle of the season. These are the games where we need to kind of have this figured out. If it is not figured out, who outside the building can help us figure it out? So I think pass rush obviously key to this game. Forcing some kind of turnovers. We need turnovers, man. We got to get the ball. We got to get the ball out. I think, that's something we've struggled with also. That whole play like a Raven. Turnovers was involved in that at one point in time. And, we're not getting as many takeaways as we'd like. So hopefully I would like to see us have at least 3 sacks in this game. I would like to see at least 1 or 2 turnovers in this game. And like I said, offensively, hopefully we can run them out the building and that'll be that. And we can put that Bills game behind us finally. So, yeah, I think the Ravens are going to win. But I think, the game plan is as simple as what it could be. And John Harbaugh, just stay out of it at this point. Just don't even be involved if you're not going to make a positive impact in this football game. If it comes down to being a close game, I don't want to see you staring into the camera with a blank face. I just don't want to see it this week. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think y'all covered it. I mean, it's easy. Defensively, we got to generate pressure. I mean, Conklin is questionable. He's not healthy. I mean, there's a good opportunity there to attack that side of the line. I don't think their left tackle is that great. I'm not really familiar with DeJuan Jones, but I don't think he's that great. We got to build pressure. I mean, that's going to be the key for our defense. You can't, like I said earlier, you can't have receivers covering for 5 to 10 seconds. It makes it impossible, especially when you're a zone-heavy team. So we got to get pressure on Flacco. Flacco will turn the ball over. That's his thing. He's high volume, high turnover. So defensively, that's got to be the strategy. I'm not scared of any of their running backs. I don't even know who these running backs are. Um, so I think that's the biggest thing there. We got to find a way to keep Njoku from getting those third down conversions because that's a role he plays well for them. But it really comes down to pressure defensively. On the other side, offensively, bench that Daniel. Never mind. Next week. Offensively, run the ball. Run the ball. Run the ball. Let's smack them in the mouth from jump. They want to talk saying Derrick Henry is not hard to tackle. Let's attack them. Attack them from the jump, impose our will on the game. So I think that's going to be the key offensively. And I think Rashad Bateman, you got to have a game this week. He really wasn't a factor that much in the first game. We missed him on a great route he ran against Buffalo. But I think we got to get him involved because I think, honestly, Cleveland's going to probably put Denzel Ward right on Zay Flowers, and he's probably going to be holding his pocket wherever he lines up. So I think if they're gonna do that, I think that's going to give Rashad Bateman a mismatch. I think the other corner is pretty trash. So I think Rashad Bateman has to have a game. Will we see a Mark Andrews sighting? I don't know. He doesn't seem to be much involved in the game plan outside of blocking, based upon what we saw last week. So I'd love to see him get involved just to open up the middle of the field a little bit and take a little pressure off these receivers. But I think overall, I'd love to see us run the ball. And I see what you're saying, Corey, get D-Hop more involved. It's kind of hard, man. I mean, Zay and Bateman are some dudes, but yeah, definitely get D-Hop the ball. But overall, I just want to see some balance, control the clock. I can't be too mad at them scoring so quickly last week because, I mean, if they don't want to tackle Derrick Henry, I mean, that's not his fault. Right. It may happen again this week. They may get scared of Derrick Henry after a while. But I like to see longer drives just to keep the defense off the field. Like we were talking about earlier, Miles, like we need this defense to be rested. We can't have this defense getting tired. I mean, we have a couple old guys on there, and we have a couple guys who've been coming off injuries. So we want to keep them off the field as much as possible. We don't want them having super long periods of time on the field. So balance, get pressure on defense, and please don't give up a kick return and punt return touchdown. Just please. I'm super scared with special teams. But, yeah, I think those are the keys to the game.
Yeah, I also think that, too. I was just reading the snap count from this past game, and Mike Green only had 26 snaps. So I would definitely like to see Mike Green on the field a lot more. If Joe Flacco is not going to move around, this will be the perfect game for Mike Green to hit the quarterback. Like, let him go ahead and win some matchups. If Conklin is out, especially at tackle, that provides even more opportunities because I think they did move him around in the game. He played on the left and the right side. So, yeah, get Mike Green out there a lot more. There's no way Tavius Robinson should have more snaps than Mike Green. That's all I'm going to say. At this point, they need to be ramping him up and getting him, if that means another 15 snaps each game until they ramp him up, like he needs to be on the field because even they said in all 22, one of the guys that I watched for that, he said, even if he doesn't like win the play or whatever, like he still is involved. Like he's still running to the play. He's making effort to get. He's not just taking off the play if he doesn't win. Like he's still going to the ball and he's aggressive. They got to use that. They got to use that and get him. If getting him involved and making him make plays on defense helps this secondary out. Because I think, like you guys said, I don't think the secondary is as bad as they looked against the Bills. It's just the fact that if you're not getting any kind of pressure, most corners and guys in the secondary tell you we can cover guys maybe 4 to 5 seconds. After that, guys are running around, trying to find open space, where players running into each other, things like that. Like if they can get some pressure and get these players, like allow these corners and safeties to make plays on the ball, I think things can turn around. But that I think all starts on that defensive line for them. Got to get pressure. Got to get pressure this week. Run some stunts because clearly running straight up, base defense is not working. They got to do something to get players open to let guys just run free at the quarterback. So, they mentioned too, missing on Darius Washington is really hurting the secondary too, because having the Kyle play as far back as he is, they're saying I think in a few plays, him and Malachi starts playing 20 to 30 yards off the ball. They shouldn't be playing that. They shouldn't be playing that deep off the ball. I'm sorry. Like, again, it's situational. Know the personnel. If you know Flacco's gonna be throwing it deep, then fine. But if you got that they're playing underneath football all game, creep up, play up a little bit. Even if that means Sanusi came back there, free safety for a little bit to allow Kyle Hamilton to play in the box, man. He's got to play in that box. If he's not playing that box, he's not being as effective as he needs to be. He's playing 80% football. And look, his 80% is better than most players. But 100% Kyle Hamilton playing in that box. Okay, he's playing it. We got to see that. You got to see that.
Playing that box.
Because I feel like you're going to see it because they just announced that Junkins got activated, so he will be playing at running back for the Browns. So don't be surprised you see a lot of dump offs, little screen plays and stuff like that. That's just what the Bills did. Don't be surprised you start seeing that. If you got Kyle Hamilton down there, they won't be doing a lot of that. I think he breaks a lot of those plays up and affects the game. But you got to see that a little bit more and more exotic play calls in that defense. So let's get to the scores. What do you guys think? What's the score? At home, is there? I think they're doing the 30. Is it the 30-year celebration? This game.
Yeah, I got the Ravens, man. 30-year celebration. I think we put up 30 points. Why not? I think it's going to be 30-17 Baltimore.
Ooh.
No explanation. That's just a score.
Oh, all right. I got that 17. That's in my score. I think we put up another 40 burger, 41-17.
Love that.
I just think that I don't know. I just feel like Myles Garrett's going to provide some issues for this team on offense. I think it's going to be Ravens 30, Browns 27. And
I thought you were about to go the other way for a second.
I think Tyler Luke kicks a game-winning field goal.
Wow.
The Ravens. I think this is a different ending than it was in the Bills game, where the Ravens get the ball and they control it, move down the field, kick a field goal, win the football game. But I just think that I don't know Myles Garrett. If he's a game record very early on, it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a long day. So
Corey playing Price is Right with me. He went 1 point up.
Before we close it out, Crawford, was it Crawford Canelo tonight?
Yeah,
Crawford.
Netflix.
Crawford. You guys got Crawford. I got Crawford too.
I'm rooting for Crawford.
I'm rooting. Yeah. Where are they fighting in Vegas? They're fighting in Vegas, right?
I don't know.
I'll tell you in a second. Canelo versus Crawford. They are fighting in the link. Hold on.
In Philly?
Oh, no. Las Vegas. Yeah, the link on the Lost shuttle buses. Oh, no. They are in Vegas. They're in Vegas. Okay. Yeah. I can't see the it looks like the link, whatever that is.
Okay. Yeah.
I
hate the fact that these fights are the main card now is at 11:30 at night. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
I can't
be in bed watching.
Yeah, I might fall asleep halfway through. So yeah, it should be fun weekend of football. Ravens. I'll say this before we leave too. How quickly do you guys think that the Boo Birds will come out? The Ravens defense gives up a touchdown in that first drive.
Oh, second quarter or first quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they be blowing right away. Probably
their defense is bad in that first drive. That those Boo Birds are gonna come out.
Yeah.
Deservedly so if it happens.
Yeah.
So fix it. Let Kyle Hamilton play in that box, man.
I'm playing that box.
Man, he's an all-pro. Just saying.
He's all pro and he's in that box.
Yep. Just saying. Don't play him out of that's like Trump. That's like the Steelers trying to play Troy Polamalu playing him 30 yards off the ball. Not effective back there. Let Kyle Hamilton do his thing. All right. Well, that's it from us. We'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully, the Ravens start 1-1 and get ready to go in this Chiefs game and try to position themselves back into the hunt for a home field advantage in the playoffs. So we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
All right, peace.
Peace.